Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. First things first, as we talk, West Ham are beating Liverpool 3-1. Get in there, West Ham. I'm a United fan, so very pleased as it stands. Liverpool are going to be dropping points. There's only, 15 minutes, 10 minutes left. So come on, West Ham. I did predict 2-1 last week. I am wrong. However, West Ham beat Liverpool. I'll take that all day long. But are you all right, Shane?
Not too bad, Tom. I'm glad to see you're so happy at that result at the minute. I'm not too bad, mate. I'm sitting in a lovely warm office thanks to my central heating just being fitted recently by the IT man and obviously your old man. So, yeah, can't be more happy than I am at the minute. How's you, right?
Yeah, good. So you've been able to put your hats, your scarves back in the cupboard and stuff. You haven't not got to sit there working with all your gear on, no?
Now, I've got my shorts on, mate. I've been working in the day with T-shirt and shorts for the first time. First time in 2 years.
Yeah, well, I don't know about having the shorts on, mate. You normally tell me you just clothed the top half, haven't you?
No, not anymore, mate. It's always shorts on now. Used to be like the jeans, the thermals. Now it's just a pair of shorts, T-shirts, and loving it.
Yeah, good to hear, mate. But how's your weekend been? All right?
Oh, not too bad. Went out, did a bit of the old shopping with the wife today. We went to the garden centre.
Slow down.
Yeah, I went there thinking, right, I thought I'm going to get a big breakfast. I've gone in there, I've seen the menu, thought, yeah, big breakfast, $8.95. Sat down, got me table. Wife calls me over, 11:15, no more breakfast. I had to make do with a cheese and ham sandwich and a bit of Victoria sponge cake. But bar that, not too bad.
Is it me though, or I think garden centres are the most expensive places to go in the world, mate? You go in there and buy some, just some dirt or a plant pot, and it's felt 40 quid.
Oh, it felt like rip off Britain in there today. I'm looking at the wife's looking at Christmas baubles and like £5 a bauble. I'm thinking, come on, let's leave that one. Let's get out of here.
Expensive stuff, mate. But well, glad you had a nice weekend. We're here again. We was meant to be uploading tomorrow, but our IT man's got other commitments, so we're going on a Sunday. It'd be good to put a video out on a Sunday anyway, because I'd imagine a lot of people will be looking for the highlights, reviews, sort of Sunday evening. So we'll see how this one does compared to the ones we normally put out on a Monday. But if you are new to the channel, 500 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you are new, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, so when me and Shane upload, you get notified. But yeah, mate, let's jump into it. Let's go through the football results from the weekend, and by the end of the video, we'll know if West Ham actually managed to beat Liverpool as well.
Yeah, so let's start off with then the football. We started off on a Friday night with the football, Southampton versus Villa. I went for a Southampton 2-1 win. You went for a 1-1 draw. Ended up being a 1-0 win to Southampton. Cracking goal from Armstrong to score off his left foot. Lovely goal. Smashed it in. The game in itself, Southampton, they're going under the radar at the minute. I think they're one of the teams actually maybe second or third in the form table for picking up points. They might be 12 points out of a possible 15 at the minute. So each week that's gone by, I've sort of mentioned Southampton, yeah, they're picking points up or nicking goals. I didn't realise the actual form as they're actually in. Dominated Villa. Villa didn't look at the races at all. They're sort of they are struggling. They've gone out and obviously bought players out off of the Jack Grealish money, and I think it was expected them maybe to kick on. When I saw the amount of players that they bought in at the beginning of the season, I was expecting Villa to do quite well. At the minute, I think it might be 4 losses, potentially 5 losses. Dean, the manager, he could be looking at the sack pretty much soon if things continue to go the way they are. It's shocking, really, the way Villa have sort of gone. Like I say, it's Southampton. No, they've done what they do. They picked up the points. What do you reckon?
Well, I think Smith, he has gone now, mate.
Has he gone?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I was listening to some of TalkSport earlier, and I'm pretty sure he's gone. Yeah, no, he has gone. I'm 100% sure he's gone. Yeah, I think it was 5 defeats on the bounce. I know they've had a few injuries, but yeah, they were looking pretty poor. I think after Jack Grealish went, I think naturally there's a bit of a sort of a dip in sort of enthusiasm around the place. But they went out, they spent some money. But yeah, a few injuries, 5 defeats on the bounce. They were talking earlier about Gerrard. That's where I was listening to it. They're talking about Gerrard potentially taking over. I know he he won the league last year for Rangers, stopping Celtic getting 10 in a row or something like that. And they were saying, what else can he do in Scotland? Which I tend to agree with. I think there's at the moment there's only 2 teams that are ever going to win the league unless things change or one of the other clubs gets some investment. But yeah, I don't know whether he would or he wouldn't. But yeah, he's gone. Southampton, yeah, they're doing well. We were speaking before. They're the sort of in team forming team. But there's so much talk around the big boys at the moment. They sort of don't get mentioned that much. But yeah, good result for them. But obviously, Villa manager lost his job.
Yeah, no disrespect to Villa, but I don't know if Gerrard will sort of he'll look at that. In all honesty, I think maybe he might wait for the end of the season, go through with Rangers, maybe pick up another title with Rangers, and then see what's available sort of come summer next year. I mean, it's not a particularly big job for him to go into, although he potentially could have the backing of the board. They do spend money there, so 50-50 on that one, whether he goes there, to be honest. Next game, obviously your game, was the Man City game. I was going to go for a cheeky 4-1 Man City win off the back of the result last weekend. You went for a 2-1 Man U, obviously went for your heart rather than your head, and it was a 2-0 Man City win. Man City just looked apart again. Did Man U make them look good? Maybe there was a bit of that as well was going on, but I think was it an own goal by Bailey, and then Bernard picked up a goal sort of to make it 2-0. That, it was a different game. It was a different Man U. I think obviously Man U that beat Spurs. We made Man U look quite good in that game against Man City. I think some of those cracks were appearing again, but again, I think it's probably you're the best one to dissect this game because you probably watched it a bit more in full than what I did.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, as good as City are, I don't think they're playing. They are playing well at the minute, but they're not sort of the City that sort of blowing everyone away, scoring like 5 goals every game. They are again a good side, but I think at the moment, we're our own worst enemy. Again, midweek, 2-2 draw in Europe. We again rely on Ronaldo. Yeah, he is definitely sort of paving over the cracks. But yesterday, losing 2-0 against City, it's just massively disappointing. At the back, we look so vulnerable every time a team put it on us. I'm thinking, here we go again. But yeah, own goal by Bailly to obviously, City don't need any help, but obviously he chucks it in his own net. And then we just never looked like we were going to score. No real sort of conviction behind what we were doing. No courage. No sort of lack of ideas. And in the middle of the park as well, Fred, he's not a United player. But yeah, just massively disappointed because after last week, I was saying, beating Tottenham 3-0, which, is not a massive achievement at the moment. And we go and draw then in Europe. I think, come on, let's have it against City. Even if we put it all out there and still lose, you'd rather that than just not really bring anything to the table. So a massively disappointing result. And then again, it comes back onto Solskjaer. He's had time, he's had money. This is his team. He's got Ronaldo. I don't know. I start to question if he's the right man for the job. There's a big question mark around it in a minute. But yeah, just massively disappointed really because we can't seem to win 2 games on a bounce.
Yeah, I think old Roy Keane, he had a bit to say about it against the game.
Yeah, I saw that.
But Roy Keane's always got something to say. But I suppose at the end of the day, that there are 2 available managers out there now that are looking for work. So potentially, if Man U put the feelers out, there's Dean Smith and the Norwich manager about. So potentially things could look up in the future. But it's just one of those games. Like I say, you'll lose 2, then you pick up 2 wins. But there's got to be a point, I think, where the Man U board I've got to look at himself and say to himself, look, are we happy with a team that's just going to sort of yo-yo with results, or with Man United, we play at Old Trafford, Theatre of Dreams, we need to have a team and squad that go out and are winning 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 games in a row, maybe picking up a draw. At some point, I think Man U are going to pull the trigger on Solskjaer, but it's just about who's available. when they do it. I don't think they're going to pull the trigger if they haven't got anyone available. So I think we just have to see how that one sort of unfolds with Man U, to be honest.
But you look at the team now on paper. You know, you if you went to any top European manager and like, you know, this is a team we've got. What do you reckon you could do? They'd bite your hand off for that team. You know, likes of Ronaldo, Sancho, some of the defenders of Varane, you know, Pogba, Fernandes. You think on paper we should be doing a lot more, but I think we look at Chelsea. They had Frank Lampard there, legend at the club. He couldn't quite cut it as a manager, you know, whether that was lack of experience or whatever it was. Solskjaer, again, a club legend, but they got rid of Lampard. You know, people are up in the air a little bit about it to start with, but look, they got Tuchel in, experienced manager, knows what he's doing, and they go on and win the Champions League, and now they're top of the league, and I know they dropped points this weekend, but you know they're not going to win every game. But I don't know, it's just frustrating being a United fan at the moment because again we can't seem to win 2 games in a row.
Yeah, it's a bit like, it's almost. I saw something, I read something about when Nuno obviously was at Spurs, and Nuno's salary wasn't even anything near compared to what like Kane's was or on Dembele. He might have been like the 5th or 6th highest earner at the club. And I think what they were sort of saying is that the people that was on the higher money sort of didn't have the respect because they were on their sort of like higher money. They see themselves as bigger. And I think Man, you've just got to get someone in of like a top caliber manager, and who's going to come in and be the actual governor. I think Solskjaer's a little bit too sort of like potentially borderline friend rather than manager. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing Man U've got to try and address at the end of the day. But that's Man U.
Yeah, a lot of egos in the dressing room. Whether he can manage that or not, who knows? But I see what you're saying. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to be too friendly with them when you need someone there just to go, look, you know, I'm the man in charge. You know, this is what's happening, or you're not playing, a bit like Fergie used to do. But yeah, we'll move on from United. We'll
crack on from then. So we'll go on to. I was expecting to have your pint ready, to be honest, because
no, do you know what? Right. We had my father-in-law round over the weekend. They stayed yesterday, and we went down the pub we went along the walk to a beach. I went for a walk along the beach.
He's been on the bevies already.
Do you know what? We went for a walk along the beach. It was lovely actually. The sun was out. We popped in the pub for a couple, and I was thinking, do you know what? I'm a bit of a lightweight these days, so I didn't want to have another one because at the moment I can barely string a sentence together. So if I think I had another one, that would tip me over the edge. And I don't know what it would be like. But yeah, no, I'm very happy for Norwich. Obviously, I've got my pint of water here rather than a pint of San Miguel. But I did have a couple for them earlier in the pub.
No, defo. So yeah, we went for the Brentford-Norwich game. I went Brentford 3-1 to win that one. I didn't think Norwich were going to pick anything up. You went for a 1-0 win. The actual result in itself was a 2-1 to Norwich. Really good game for Norwich, to be honest. They actually sort of, I would say that they had more chances than what Brentford had. Nolan scored an absolute stunner, the first goal from him. He picked the ball up maybe 30, 35 yards outside the area, dribbled past one person, and I think three people, and then put the ball in the goal. Pookie got the penalty for the second one, put Norwich 2 up, and then Brentford got a late goal. Kroll did make a couple of sort of important saves for Norwich to keep him in the game, but at the end of the day, Norwich got the result. It almost goes back to what we said a couple of weeks ago when Brentford were sort of like running high, or do you mean they was on top form? They'd been playing all the top teams like in the first 6 or 7 games they played, and they performed really well. And I think we touched upon it. We said, but what they need to do is they need to go to the teams like Burnley, Brentford, Brighton, and they pick the results up. What's happened is they've lost against Burnley. Now they've lost against Norwich, and it's one of those. They've either got too confident in their ability, in the fact that they've played some of the bigger teams, and then the mindset might have been, we should be able to turn Norwich over, we should be able to turn Burnley over, and it didn't quite work out that way. And I think that will be disappointing for the Brentford manager, because he's probably got them so geared up to play these games, and he'd probably feel a little bit let down, to be honest, I reckon.
Yeah, like you were saying, they started so well. I think they beat Arsenal, didn't they? At the beginning of the season, they took points off Liverpool, scored 3 against them. But yeah, over the last few weeks, they've seemed to sort of really lost, their momentum. But I suppose credit to Norwich. It took them 11 games, but they managed to get 3 points eventually. But yeah, no, it's a good game for them. Good first goal. Obviously penalty to win it in the end. But yeah, really pleased for them. But another one. They go and win, and well, not the same situation as Villa, but they go and win, and their manager gets the sack.
Yeah, that's I've got to say that's disappointing. But I was going to sort of touch upon that one later on as part of my picks and sort of discuss that one. But yeah, it's do you mean it's I also say football's a funny old game, innit, at the end of the day. But
yeah, we'll come on to that one. Yeah, I know it's one of your picks, so we'll come back to that, mate.
But that's how it goes. I think, to be honest, in the Premiership these days, it's a results game. You say that you get a result, but you don't get the result you want as a manager. But yeah, well, I'll pick that one later.
Yeah, do you think that's a turning point for Norwich, or do you think,
To be honest, I'm thinking like at some point you need to get a win to get the confidence. You need to get a win, so when you go back into the training on the Monday and Wednesday, you're going with a bit of buzz. Do you mean you're quite happy? You've got 3 points in the bag. You've got to feel a lot better going into your next home game or your next away game, wherever it be, with 3 points in the bag behind you and a win. You've got that sort of winning feeling. The potential is to take it on board, but we'll have to see how they get on, to be honest, next week. I was going to say the next game, Chelsea-Burnley. I went for a 2-0 Chelsea win. You went also for a 2-0 Chelsea win. Didn't see it come in, a 1-1 game. Chelsea, absolutely. How Chelsea didn't pick up the 3 points. If you're a Chelsea fan, you're scratching your head at the end of the day. Reece James put a lovely ball in the middle for Havertz to get the first goal. And after that, it was just an onslaught of Chelsea. I mean, shot after shot. I think in the first half, they could have been 6 up at the end of the day. And then obviously Burnley do what Burnley do. They ride their luck. They stay in there, wait until the end. I think it was a hoof into the middle, a knock on for Vidra, and he scores like the equaliser. But it was just a proper smash and grab, that one. Chelsea will feel like they was absolutely robbed in that game.
I think Chelsea would be disappointed as well because Liverpool were losing. I'd imagine they're probably lost now. We'll check it at the end, but yeah, I imagine they're a little bit disappointed. They could have easily, like you say, I didn't watch the game. I watched the highlights, but if they'd have had their shooting boots on, they could have been 4-5 up by half time. But yeah, for some reason, just didn't really happen for them. And then I think it was Burnley's only chance of the game. And yeah, they kept it at 1-0. And then I think that was more Chelsea not being able to find a net rather than them defending well or their keeper having a good game. It was just weren't Chelsea's day. But yeah, that'd be gutted that they dropped points. And yeah, Burnley score only chance of the game. But yeah, to sort of stop them from picking up another 3 points. But like you said a few moments ago, I didn't see that one coming. And obviously, hence the reason for my 2-0 prediction for Chelsea.
Yeah, no, definitely Chelsea got robbed on that one. But again, that's how it goes. Next game was Palace Wolves. I went for a 2-1 Palace win. You went for the 2-2. Score ended up being 2-0 to Palace. Yeah, that was a good old game, to be honest. Palace were deserving of the game in total. They played good football. They got an early goal. Second goal, again, Palace played well. Benteke, he had a couple of opportunities to score. And to be honest, Wolves, they didn't really sort of turn up for this game. I think at the end of it, we've said it last week, I think Vieira has gone into Palace and he's got them he's put a bit of steel in there. And he's definitely got the confidence. Zaha, I think, has picked up a bit of confidence from Vieira. He's obviously put his arm around him, sort of like he's getting the best out of him. And when he performs, Palace pretty much perform. But that, again, would probably be my main worry or concern with being, if I was a Palace fan, if Zaha is put out of the game or he's injured or he's out for a while, then will Palace's results dry up? But to be honest, Palace were worthy of the win.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, they beat City last week. You know, we was a bit shocked, and you know they follow it up this weekend with another comfortable win, really, in the end. But I think, like you were saying, when you look back over the the Premiership seasons, and you look at that Arsenal team with Vieira, he was a leader. He was, on the pitch, he was a competitor. He put himself about, just like Roy Keane did for United. And I think he's starting to transfer that onto his team because again, to beat City, win again, not conceded goals for the last couple of weeks as well. That'd be really pleased. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do because they didn't look great when he first took over, but I think he's been there a little while now. He's starting to get his feet under the table. The players understand what he wants, and Sahar's scoring going to give him a massive lift. So yeah, let's see what they do.
Yeah. Next game after that was the Brighton Newcastle game. I was convinced Brighton would run out with that one. It's 3-1 winners. You went for a 2-0 Brighton. Score ended up being a 1-0 with Newcastle. And again, just like the Chelsea game, Brighton would probably feel pretty much robbed in that one. I mean, they got I think it was a foul for the first one. I think Trossard got taken out, and then I think it went to a VAR, and then it was actually given as a penalty. Trossard got the goal for Brighton. Brighton had multiple chances in that game to sort of take the game. And then I think Hayden come up with a late equaliser for Newcastle to make it 1-0. But again, like we've said on many occasions, Brighton are a well-drilled unit. They will go out, they play proper football. They play a good attacking game of football. They don't sit back and sort of counter. They are a progressive team, I would say. Newcastle, obviously, Eddie Howe's gone in there and he's not quite taken the training yet, but I think he was there in the stands. Whether Eddie Howe can actually do anything for Newcastle, I'm not particularly sure. I'm guessing he might be more of a stopgap manager. I can't see the Saudi boys pinning everything on Eddie Howe, taking them through the league and sort of getting them into Europe and so on. So a bit of me thinks Eddie Howe's going to be bought in. Do you mean I might give him 18 months and then move him on? So I can't see him being there full time. But Newcastle, again, they're sort of they're in transition, aren't they? Bruce obviously is gone. They've got the second coach in there who's taking the training and so on. They didn't lose at the end of the day, so they'd be happy that they picked a point up, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a weird one the last sort of week or so of Newcastle because 1 minute Unai Emery is like the club are basically saying he's taken over. Next thing you know, Eddie Howe's got it, and then there's he's sort of second favourite or whatever. But I'm sure he doesn't care too much about that. But yeah, no, it's a massive job at the moment because I think they're obviously the bottom of the table, with down there with Norwich, and if they don't want to be playing for the Championship, they want to be getting some of that Saudi money and obviously starting to build in the Premiership. But yeah, a big job for him to come into. Newcastle is always a difficult one. If you sort of lose a few games on the bounce, the fans are on you straight away. They've got some, arguably the most passionate fans in the country. So I'll be interested to see what he does. But yeah, 1-0 in the end. Again, prediction wasn't right, but I mean, what else to expect, really?
No. What do you think in respect to, obviously, Eddie Howe going in there as a manager? What do you think in respect to him being able to draw in sort of big names? Do you mean because if Newcastle got the money to spend and January they're going to try and go out and sort of bring in some big players, do you think they're going to go for top draw players at the minute or sort of like second tier quality? And do you think he's got the name to draw them in?
I think first thing first, he's got to keep them in the Premiership. If they go down to the Championship, then clearly they're not going to get the most well-known players out there for obvious reasons. But I think it depends on the club's ambitions. If you approach a player to play at St James's Park in front of those fans, then you've won them on that sort of side of it. But I think if you're getting players in and you're saying, look, these are sort of players we're hoping to get in. This is where we want to be 18 months, 2 years. This is the plan. If it all looks good and clearly they've got the money to do it, then as a top player, you might have to have a year where you're not competing for the Champions League. But if they can go and get 3 or 4 players for for whatever money, then why not? They it's never as bad as it seems, and I don't think it's never as good as it is. A couple of players can make a huge difference, but yeah, I think if you've got the right plan and you're looking at getting the right players in, but then I don't know, it's a difficult one. I think they're going to have to be lucky as well at the same time to approach players that maybe out of contract. But I don't know. I can't see any. Who's that player at PSG? Mbappe. I think he wants to go to Madrid anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be it's going to be a project. Look at City. I think it took them 4 years to win the league when they had the funds come into the club. But yeah, all depends on the plan, I think, mate. But who wouldn't want to play at St James's Park in front of those fans?
Yeah, and I suppose money talks at the end of the day. If someone's going to offer you £275,000 a week to turn up, then do you mean you'll probably get the mercenaries in there, to be honest. But that's Newcastle. Next game, obviously, Arsenal against the Watford. Originally, I was going to go with the Arsenal win, and I said I couldn't do it, so I decided I'd go for the Watford win.
Yeah.
I went for a 2-1 Watford. You went for a 3-1 Arsenal. Arsenal picked up the result 1-0. And again, Arsenal, unfortunately, they are going about their business quite quietly under the radar. I think it might be 11 games unbeaten now. Obviously, go back 11 games and people were right on Arteta, weren't they? There was like, oh, Arteta needs to get sacked, he needs to get moved on, he ain't got the ability. 11 games on, they're unbeaten now. And to be honest, they was worth the win. They was the better team on the day against Watford. On the other hand, you are talking about Watford, so I think what the pundits and what a lot of people are looking at is, okay, they're picking up the results at the minute against the teams they should be expected to win. Teams like Arsenal, Man U, Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea. There are certain teams that you expect to go and play and pick the points up. At the minute, Arsenal are actually doing that. They are picking the points up. What people are looking at is when they got to play the big guns, are they going to be able to sharpen the day? Smith Rowe, he's turned up with another goal. Good for Arsenal, good for England as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Arsenal are not judged on beating Watford. They're judged on playing Liverpool, United, and all the big boys. I think after the international break, they've got Liverpool, I believe. So if they go and get a draw off Liverpool, then I think that the fans can be like, yeah, we are starting to see some progression. But yeah, you go back a little while, I think that he was under a lot of pressure. But I think a lot of the pressure comes from the fans more so than the club. Look at at the end of sort of Wenger's sort of era at Arsenal, they were definitely going backwards. They were in decline. But I don't know with Arsenal. I don't know what their expectations are or their ambitions, but I'm pleased for him. He's a young manager. We all know that he was second in charge at City. Obviously, learned his trade under Pep. He's made a brave move, taking Arsenal as his first job, and that's where sometimes I always feel a little bit like if you take look at Lampard, for example. He went to obviously Derby, then to Chelsea, but Arteta, for example, Arsenal first job. If it doesn't work out, it's almost like, where do you go from there? Do you know what I mean? Like if you get sacked and then you go, I just think then it's always a back step before you can go forward again. But fair play to him. He's managed to put a few results together, not been beaten for a little while. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they get on against Liverpool. If they go there and lose 4-0, then it's almost like, well, yeah, we beat Watford. We've had a few good results, but we're still lacking something. That I think they're lacking, sometimes a little bit of grit when it's not going their way. But yeah, fair play to them. 1-0, they'll take that and take it into the next game.
Yeah, I think with the Arsenal, the fans in the Arsenal fan base, they obviously expect and think that Arsenal should be like in the Champions League. Obviously, they've not been there for a while in the Champions League itself. So I think the expectation is obviously what Wenger had put in place in the first place, like 20 years and 20 Champions League spots. All of a sudden, no Champions League football, and this year, no European football. So this is probably a time really where Arsenal should be taking advantage of not being midweek football and should be putting some sort of like effort into their matches. And it would seem at the minute they're actually getting those results. But back to Arteta being under Pep, he sort of, I think that's given him that little bit of leeway, sort of, because he's had that tutorage. And I wonder if, for instance, Ollie had been coaching under a high-profile manager, would people be given a little bit more leniency? I think because he's sort of been a Mulder and whatever else, and
Cardiff.
Yeah, I think that's why people sort of like are quick to snipe at him. I wonder if he had sort of like been under under Guardiola, or do you mean if he would have been given a little bit more leeway than what he's been given at the minute? But again, that's football managers. It's a hard game. Obviously, Dean Smith and Farker found out how hard it is. Arteta was obviously bang under the cosh 11 games ago. His manager turned it around for himself. So yeah, good luck for him. He was a good quality player at Everton. So he's always had a bit about him. He knows football. So we give him that. We don't want him to continue doing too well for too long, because I need Spurs to get above him, to be honest. But that brings me on to Spurs quite nicely, actually. Obviously, the Spurs game today was against Everton. Conte's first sort of Premier game up at Everton. I went for a Tottenham win. I was open for a 3-1 win. You went for a 3-0 Spurs win. Ended up being a 0-0. But to be honest, we created. Well, to be honest, we created the chances in that game. We created more chances in that game than what we've probably done over the last 4 or 5 games. So in respect for Spurs fans, I think we can look at something with Conte. He's injected a bit of sort of a bit of energy. Do you mean a bit of passion? The team are actually, they look like they want to go out and play and actually perform. So performance-wise, it weren't too bad. Lo Celso could have nicked it late on with a lovely sort of left-footed shot that crashed onto the post. Everton weren't really in the game much. There was a little bit of a controversy with Lloris. Did he bring Richarlison down? He got the slightest of fingers on the ball. If he got fingers on the ball, then it weren't a penalty. I think first it got called a penalty, went to VAR. Refs called it no penalty in the end. So some people might say you're lucky that it weren't a penalty. But at the end of the day, I was quite happy with the performance. We didn't concede a goal. So if it can build a bit of momentum, obviously we got a 3-2 against Vitesse midweek. That was quite a crazy game. Spurs went 3-up, then 3-2. We got Romero sent off. They then had a player sent off, and then their keeper sent off in the end. So it was quite a hectic sort of 4 days for Conte and his first sort of like management stewardship of Spurs. But as Spurs fans, I think we'd take today's result. If we didn't get beaten, we can take that again into the next game and build a bit of momentum.
Yeah, that's it. I think, first things first, you're going to, tighten up your defence and you'll take a clean sheet all day long. And against Everton as well, they've haven't had great results recently, so they would have gone there hoping for a result. But I think it's difficult as well, as a Tottenham player. They've had Mourinho, they've had Poch, they've had Nuno, now they've got another manager. So it's almost like, well, at the moment, they're probably thinking, well, what are we doing? What is our way? And he's been there a week. So I think over the next few weeks, time will tell. We'll find out what his way is. But Kane's gone quiet again. I know it takes it takes him a little while to get going. Doesn't generally score many in August, but in September, he starts to sort of find some form. That's a little bit worrying as a Tottenham fan. He's gone very quiet. Son hasn't scored for a few games. It's like, well, where's the other goal? It's almost like, well, if they don't score, who else is going to pop up with one? But yeah, again, a 1-0 against Everton, you'll take that first game clean sheet.
Yeah, defo. Then we got the next game was Leeds Leicester. We thought there was going to be a lot of goals in this one. I went for a 3-1 Leicester. You went for a 3-3 draw. Actually pick a point up during that game because it was a 1-1 game. Leeds Leicester. It was an open game though. It was what we predicted. The shooting boots weren't on basically. I think Rafiana's popped up with a goal for Leeds from a free kick out wide. It sort of like whipped it in. No one's got on the end of it. Leeds went 1-up, and then Leicester, to credit, they sort of like from the kick-off, I think they 1-touch, 2-touch, put the ball out to Barnes. Barnes has ghosted past a couple of players, cut into his right foot and whipped it in the top corner to make it 1-1. and that was within I think it was literally 10-15 seconds from the kickoff. But the game itself was an open game. It was a bit of a basketball game, but I pretty much expected it from Leeds and Leicester.
Yeah.
That was always going to be the outcome.
Yeah, no, I thought it, it'd be quite open, like we said last week. Yeah, I thought we'd have a few more goals, but yeah, 1-1. Leicester have been a little bit sort of all over the place. I did fancy them for the win. I don't know. I just thought that Leeds might sort of do something as well, but yeah, not overly a lot in it really. But yeah, I think they'll both be pleased with the point. I don't know. Well, we'll come on to the predictions, but yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one, really, mate.
Yeah, and then the final game is obviously in play at present, so I'm not aware of that. You might be a bit closer on that one in relation to result. Obviously, it's the West Ham game. I went for a 2-2. You went for a 2-1 West Ham win. If I'm right, you did say West Ham were winning at the minute. I'm not sure what the score was. I think you said it was 3-1 earlier.
Yeah, they're West Ham. I can ask our IT man to check if you like. Luke, check the West Ham score. West Ham, Liverpool. But yeah, no. Going from last week, my prediction was 2-1. West Ham have been flying over the last few weeks, playing some good football, and I think we spoke a lot about them being so consistent. And following on from last season, the great season last year, but it's been well documented. A lot of teams have gone out and spent big money, but yeah, West Ham are flying. I predicted 2. What was your prediction?
I went for a 2-2 in that game.
3-2 West Ham. Get in there, West Ham.
And how long to go? Not long to go on that one then.
It's finished, mate.
All finished, is it? Well, you pick up the points on that one. Yeah, credit to West Ham then. So. Do you mean West Ham are absolutely flying, to be honest? And do you mean their confidence must be sky high? Like we spoke about it last week. We also spoke about it with the boxer in the podcast, who we just recently had on, is a massive West Ham fan. No doubt he's going to be absolutely over the moon at the minute when he sees this result. But 3-2 to West Ham against Liverpool. At the beginning of the season, would you be saying West Ham would be turning Liverpool over at home? I wouldn't have been saying it. I'd be saying they'd be lucky to pick up a draw. But as the football season's gone on, and we've said over and over again now, West Ham, whoever they're playing, they're thinking about getting the win. They're not thinking anymore about draws, and they could well be a dark horse for Champions League football.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that obviously there's a lot of talk about United, Chelsea, City, Liverpool. There's so much talk about them, but I think that West Ham would be, incredibly pleased with that result today. Obviously, it goes without saying, but yeah, I think for David Moyes, he's probably thinking, wonderful. Yeah, you lot keep on talking about the big boys. We quietly go about our business. They keep turning up. They keep getting results, and to beat Liverpool 3-2 is a brilliant result. And again, I'm a United fan, so seeing Liverpool drop points is always pleasing. But like I say, who would have thought that? Liverpool as well, they've been flying. Salah's been scoring goals just for fun. I've said several times, I think he's the best player in the world at the minute. But I did fancy him today. I really did, and pleased that they came through and got the 3 points.
Yeah, well, based on the week's predictions again so far this week, then, so you picked up 4 points. I picked up 4 points. That puts me on 31, and that puts you on 30. So we're a point. I've got a point lead on you. I did have a bit of a point advantage a couple of weeks ago. You pulled it back with a big 7 points last week. So there's literally a point in it, sort of. So not too bad, Tom. I'm just going to have to make sure I pull out the predictions for next week. That's what I've got to sort out.
Yeah, and for everyone listening as well, if I win at the end of the season, Shane's going to do an episode in his Wonder Woman outfit. We haven't decided what my forfeit will be. However, I'm confident I'll get there. It's going to be a long season. I pulled the points back over the last couple of weeks, so delighted with that. And it would be brilliant to see you do an episode in your Wonder Woman outfit, mate.
It's never going to happen because I'm going to win, Tom, and I'm still yet to think of what your forfeit will be. But yeah, that's the football roundup from the weekend. What we're looking at now is obviously we always have our free picks of the week, or free picks of the week, should I say? And I'll start off with first one, Norwich getting a win. Do you mean we've sort of like we haven't belittled Norwich, to be honest, but it's got to a point where we just didn't know if Norwich were ever going to get a win. And you was praying for a Norwich win. You was ready to get the pint out and drink from. And Norwich, they finally got that win that they've sort of like been craving. And like we said, to be honest, they actually deserved the point. They deserved the win. It's got to be good for their sort of like mentality going into next week, as we discussed earlier. So that was my first pick. Second pick was the Barnes goal for Leicester, because it was just a quality goal. And not only was it a quality goal, it's all about the timing of the goal as well. Do you mean they didn't let Leeds have just scored straight from the kickoff? They got the ball out to Barnes. Barnes has just took it on himself and said, no, I'm not having this. Cuts inside one man, 1-1. So yeah, lovely goal from Barnes. So that would be the second pick for me. The third pick was the unfortunate sacking of the Norwich manager, Farke. We spoke earlier on about it before we went on air, but it was just like, as a football manager, what have you got to do? Do you know what I mean you've just taken loss after loss after loss after loss? Probably, like as we spoke earlier, the board have probably looked at it and thought like your card's marked. He's gone out and got the result. Maybe somewhere in his mind, when that whistle finished on the 90th minute or 94th or 95th minute, and he's sort of like pumping his hands, he's got that Norwich win. Somewhere in his mind, he may have thought that he'd be taking training on Monday and hoping to get results next weekend, only to find out he's been fired. So it's the harsh reality of football. And I suppose that was the pick, because it's just to point out how harsh and how cruel the game can be.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's 20 teams in the league, and I think I said last week they just don't have the quality to compete. I think the writing was on the wall for him. I think they made the decision before this weekend's game. If they hadn't have done, as I was saying before we came on, I think that would at least give him a couple of weeks. But I think as a club, they need to look at the bigger picture. He's got them out of the Championship again. He can't seem to put wins together in the Premiership, but I think they obviously looked at it and thought, you know what, enough's enough. If it keeps on like this, then we're going to go down. So they've obviously pulled the trigger on him. He's gone, unfortunately, after his first win. It's quite ironic, but I think they obviously made that decision before this weekend.
Yeah, so that was my three picks. And what was yours then, Tom?
So my three picks of the last sporting week, for people listening as well, this hasn't got to be football, this can be any sport, and we'd like to hear what your ones are as well. So go down and let us know in the comments. So my three picks is first one, Canelo beating obviously I can't remember. Kane, yeah, thank you. He just the bloke is absolutely unbelievable. You look at some of the fighters that he's beaten over the last couple of years: Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Plant. Early hours, yesterday, whenever it was. The bloke is absolutely brilliant. He's got it all. I don't. There's not a lot more you can say about him, really. It's like trying to sort of talk about Ronaldo or Messi. He's such an active fighter as well. He fights one after the other. All I'm hoping that he gets to fight in the UK. Would love to see him fight over here. I don't know who else now he fights though, because I know that Chris Eubank was calling him out, but I think that's an easy fight for Canelo. He's just so good, got so much power as well. That was my first one. Second one was the Jack Grealish situation. I saw after their Champions League win at the weekend, he was getting a lot of stick, from the City fans as well. It was almost like, we don't need another attacking player. We've got Sterling, we've got Foden, obviously got De Bruyne that will turn up and score goals. I just feel personally that to spend 100 million on a player when you need a striker, even though they didn't want to pay as much as Tottenham wanted for Kane, I just don't know why they just didn't bite the bullet and think, do you know what, if 20-30 million quid extra, then why not? Let's just go for it. Because for me, Jack Grealish is a good player. I feel like he's almost getting a little bit lost at City because they've got so much talent. But he passes the ball nice. He wins them a few free kicks, but I don't think he's going to score many. So that was my second one. My third pick This is sort of almost going into next week. I'm quite chuffed actually that we've got a professional boxer coming on, Brad Pauls. It's actually a little bit of a step up from the boxers we've had come on so far, in the fact that he is signed with Wasserman and his fights are going to be in Sky Sports. So, we speak to lots of boxers and we appreciate every single one of them coming on, and we appreciate their work ethic. A lot of these fighters that fight in small hall shows are not only training for their fights, they've normally got a job, they're having to sell tickets out of their hand. So to get someone on the channel next week that has got quite a big deal really, and is going to be fighting on Sky Sports, I think it's brilliant. So if you like your boxing, stay tuned, because that video will be on next Thursday, I believe. But yeah, really chuffed about that. I think I said to you last week, I think we've both been quite taken back really. We started this podcast less than 2 months ago, and we've already had 3 professional boxers on: Jack Hughes, Mark Little, what was the other one? Tommy Jacobs. How can I forget Tommy Jacobs? So yeah, 3 professional boxers have come on. We've had a professional coach. It all started with a gambling addict. That was a really interesting one. And we've got so many more. Honestly, we could probably do a podcast every night for the next 2 weeks if we had the time. But it's nice to have one a week at the moment, so it gives us an opportunity to try and actually share the videos. But yeah, we started off doing, chatting about the football like we're doing now, and we started reaching out to people. I thought, it's going to take a while. We're going to have to get like a really big following. But I think, again, going back to what I was saying earlier about fighters that are fighting at small hall shows, they've got to do as much as they can to, get as much exposure. So I suppose that's why they are jumping on. And to be fair, some of the numbers that we're doing on them are okay. We've also had Tommy Jacobs on, who's been on big platforms like IFL, which have got over 700,000 subscribers. So to come on ours, it was very nice of him. But yeah, that's my 3 picks. Really looking forward to next week and getting some more interviews put together.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to a couple of your picks. So I'll go back to the Grealish pick first. With the Grealish one, I was listening to a couple of pundits, and there was sort of like a bit to and fro in. Some were like, Grealish he's no longer the big fish in the small pond. But there was a couple of other pundits which did have their opinions, and I was pretty much swinging more for their opinions, and they were sort of like saying, well, if Jack Grealish has got like a centre forward to aim for, if he's got like a focal point striker to play with, his game is all about assisting that striker, getting a connection with that striker. And at the minute, Man City don't play with a striker, so I do sort of like, I do understand a little bit that sort of pundit's opinion. I do think if he did have a main striker up top, Grealish would actually look a bit better in that kind of environment. In the environment as it is, as you say, there's lots of quality players who can all do the same thing. Grealish needs a focal point. In relation to the boxers that we've had on, really looking forward to getting Brad Pauls on. The other boxers that we've had on, the insight that we get from them is like phenomenal, because as normal Joe blogs like me and you, we don't know what goes on in that world, and so it's really interesting to hear each and every one of those stories, because they've all got a different story. And so yeah, definitely great to have the boxers on, and appreciate every single one that comes on. And like I say, the information that we get out and the insight, it just helps our listeners, because we all see like the big names on TV. We all see the Joshuas, we see the Usyks, we see the Furies, and that's all we see and that's what we think about. But there is like an undercurrent. There is like a basis where all boxers start from, and people don't know their story. So yeah, that's why it's great that we get the people on, and they're quite happy to tell us exactly what their ambitions are. They're honest. It means some will tell you we're not world class, we're not world beaters, but each and every one have got their own aspirations and goals, and I think that's what we like to hear. We like to hear those stories. So yeah, great to have the boxers on, but looking forward to the next one. What I will do is, obviously, because we've still got a bit more of the football to get on through, so what we'll crack on now with is what our predictions are going to be for next week. So what we've got coming up next week, we've got Leicester-Chelsea. I'm going for a 2-1 away win for the Chelsea.
I'll go for a 3-1 away win, Chelsea.
We then got Villa Brighton. Villa at home. It's okay. Brighton away. Brighton will perform. Will Villa bounce back with no manager? Will they show a little bit of sort of steel? They're at home. They've got the North Holt behind them. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw.
I'll go 1-0 Villa.
1-0 Villa. Then we've got Burnley Palace. Palace. How are they going to be up north, up there under the cosh with the Sean Dyche machine on them? I think that will be. I'm going to go for a Burnley win in that one. I'm going to go for Burnley 2-0.
I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2 draw. Next game, Newcastle Brentford. Newcastle at home. I fancy Newcastle to sort of turn Brentford over because the way Brentford are going at the minute. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said a Brentford win all day long. I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win Newcastle.
Yeah, I think Eddie. Yeah, give him a chance to get his feet under the table a little bit. Yeah, Brentford go 2-0 Newcastle.
Norwich Southampton. Norwich at home. Do you know what? I'm going to go for a Norwich win here. I'm going to go for Norwich 2-1 win. And Daniel Farke sitting at home just feeling gutted watching.
I am optimistic, but I'm not that optimistic. I'm pleased that they won this weekend, but Southampton playing well at the minute. Go 2-1 Southampton.
Okay, next game, a big one. And it's a Watford at home against Man U. I think I'm going to go the same way I've went with the Liverpool and Man City games in this one. I'm going to go for a Watford 1, Man U 3.
I'll go 2-1 United.
2-1 United.
Yeah, man.
We then got Wolves West Ham. Wolves at home. West Ham are going to go to Wolves and they're going to pick the win up and they're going to win 2-0.
2-1 West Ham.
Big game. This is where we see Arsenal's mettle. Liverpool, Arsenal, Liverpool at home. I'm thinking Liverpool are going to come back. They're going to be a bit sort of like, they're going to be annoyed from this West Ham result. And I think they're going to go to Liverpool. They're going to get Liverpool, Arsenal. Liverpool will win 4-2.
I reckon 3-1 Liverpool. Yeah, Liverpool, like you like to say, like a wounded animal, mate. They want to bounce back from this one.
Yeah, and unlike Norwich with no teeth, Liverpool definitely got plenty of teeth. Man City, Everton. Man City at home against Everton. Man City pick this one up 3-1.
I was gonna go 3. I'll go 3-0 City.
And then final game, Spurs Leeds. Spurs at home. This is going to be an open game. I'm quite looking forward to this game, to be honest. And I fancy if we can get these shooting boots on, I fancy us to get this one 4-1.
4-1. Yeah, I'll go 3-1 Tottenham.
3-1 Tottenham. Well, that is a roundup of the football review, the free picks and predictions for next week. So, been an interesting week. We're just going to see what happens next weekend. I'm just hoping that I pull away again with the predictions. I'm hoping that I'll pick up 4, you get 2 points. That'll make me happy for next weekend, for next weekend's podcast.
We will see, mate. We will see. Honestly, though, it's so difficult at the moment to get a prediction. It's tough. You look at the teams like Everton at the moment. You just don't know what they're going to do one week to the next. But yeah, looking forward to the game. It's international break as well, isn't it? I think.
International break, yeah. So there's a bit of a break on now. So
that's right.
Football midweek.
Yeah, give us a chance to get some interviews done. Mate, honestly, I don't feel like I can string a sentence together this week. I don't know if I those 2 beers earlier. I've not had a lot to.
I think it's probably the 2 beers, Tom.
I think it's the 2 beers, and I think it's the Norwich win. It's just not me for 6, but I'm pleased that they won. And 500 subscribers by the end of the year. We're on like 450, 451 at the moment. Would love to get to 500 by the end of the year. So if you are watching this, we appreciate you watching and go and subscribe, because that would be quite a nice little milestone to get to, I think.
Definitely, most definitely. On that note, I think I've got my sausage and mash, which is getting cooked up the minute with a bit of onion gravy. So that'd be me sorted for me dinner.
All right then, mate. Well, I'm glad you've had a nice weekend in the garden centre and that, and with your sandwiches. And I will, let you go. Enjoy yourself, mate. Have a nice evening, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow at some point.
Lovely, jubbly. Cheers, mate.
All the
Pleasure as
best.
usual.
Yeah, take care, matey.
Ta-ra.